Chapter 1, Section 8, we have the phenomenon of smooth and rough breathing marks. So you'll notice here you have what looks like an apostrophe over the alpha. And on this one, we have the what looks like a reverse apostrophe over the alpha. And the breathing mark will always be shown over an initial vowel. So the backstory to this is there is no letter H in Greek. That is actually the capital Eta, and if maybe sometime I'll share the story of the history of the Eta in classical Greek, but we won't cover it now. It's kind of an interesting story. But so we have the alpha or any other vowel that begins a sentence, or diphthong for that matter. So that's because those are vowels, right? So if the alpha begins, or any other vowel begins a sentence, and you have an apostrophe over it, or that is a smooth breathing mark, and you would not pronounce an H. So that would be all, as you can see here. And the reverse apostrophe is how you add, or why you would add the H sound to this, and it's hall. So a good way to remember it is it's not a h apostrophe, right? So the apostrophe is the smooth, but the reverse apostrophe, right? So it's not a h apostrophe, but if you see the apostrophe backwards, that is the rough breathing mark. Smooth breathing mark circled here, rough breathing mark. Why? Because it's not a h apostrophe. Okay, this is, you might want to call that the h apostrophe if you really want to, but that's just the rough breathing mark. So in the case of a diphthong, let me erase these so I can make some space for writing. So if you happen to have a diphthong, that is two vowels that form a one sound, if you have a diphthong at the beginning of a word, and it's a diphthong, then it's going to have the breathing mark over the second letter of the diphthong. So in this case, that's an apostrophe, so it's not a h apostrophe, so we know this would be I. However, if I went back and I went like so, that would be pronounced, yes, it'd be pronounced as a high, because it's a rough breathing mark. It doesn't look like an apostrophe, so you might want to call it a h apostrophe. All right, also, if you just, and these, I mean, you would figure this out without me saying it, but if we find that one of the, let's say we have a capital letter at the beginning of our sentence, so let's, in the case of Jesus, the breathing mark will be in front of it. There's no room above it in the text, so they put it in front of it, up to the left. Now, in the case, though, if you have a diphthong at the beginning that has one letter capitalized, that wouldn't matter. We have our capital alpha here, right? Because I could still put the breathing mark, that would be I, and this would be, I'm sure you can tell me already, high. All right, and then just a reminder, I know we've covered it already, but the letter rho, when it begins a sentence, the letter rho, when it begins a word, not a sentence, but a word, it's going to have a rough breathing mark. So you'll have an H sound. It would be more of a crow than a rho. And that is section 8 of chapter 1.